At Real Savira. Breaking up the was warned about a school shooting threat from a YouTube user named Nicholas Cruz in September. In September, the YouTube user named Nicholas Cruz left a comment on a video stating, "I am going to be a professional school shooter." The video's creator alerted both of being YouTube. San Elizabeth Warndima has once again made a false public claim that she has Native American ancestry. On Wednesday, anti-Trump Republican commentator Rick Wilson made a remark on social media about the hyper-violent MS-13 street gang with she. At Thomas 1774 Payne. Department of Education worried on being involved with transgender students and bathrooms. The Department of Education has decided it will not investigate or interfere if transgender students complain they are barred from bathrooms that match their chosen gender, according to BuzzFeed. At Yashar. In a new WSJ op-ed, Rebecca Mercer says, "Forget the media caricature. Here is what I..." At Real Politi Diva. Parkland killer, Nicholas Cruz, was a known security threat and was not allowed to carry a backpack to school last year. Also belonged to Middle East resistance groups on social media. A. How did he get in being a known threat? B. Was NSA related? He claims people who fly economy are a threat to him. At CNN, at Forecast 20. Why Congress is hesitant to pass gun control, by the numbers analysis by at Forecast Trenton. At MCSPOCKY. The secretary allegedly had stuffed Dr. an email to cover up wife's taxpayer-funded travel. After Florida school shooting, Fox analyst says AR-15s can be stopped with a slingshot if you know how to use it. Donald Trump, Jr., has apparently had about enough of Olympic skater Adam Ripken's repeated attacks on Vice President Mike Pence, and the at Crazy in Russia. Lucky Russian motorcyclists. At Fox News. Lupalumbo, we have changed as a culture. We need to put in a mechanism that no longer allows individuals who are mentally or emotionally defective from obtaining these firearms. During live coverage of a school shooting in Broward County, Florida, AP reporter Cecilia Vega on Wednesday couldn't resist taking a Bozarento. At Kyla Griffin 1. There is no way that the personnel security office at the WH, which is very small, would be sitting around for 3 or 4 months mulling over whether to give this guy clearance, a source who had worked in the GovT performing background checks tells WAPO. A former government official in charge of vetting clearance applications explains what is said about the Porter case.
from sponsoring their parents for citizenship. Finally, that diversity lottery, that remains in place for $55,000 every year. Now, Republican senators like Lindsey Graham, who's part of this gang, says our proposal would represent the most significant change to immigration law in the past 35 years. And his colleague Jeff Flake says he's pleased to be part of this group of Republicans and Democrats who are working together to make a law rather than appoint. Now, Democrat supporters, a part of this group like Senator Tim Kaine, says we've reached a deal that gives us the best chance to protect the Dreamers against deportation from the only country they know as home. But guys, here's the deal. It's not likely President Trump will go for this because it fails to meet all four pillars of that deal, especially on that chain migration and visa lottery, as you just saw. And it's not as conservative as the bill being offered in the House. So I'm not sure exactly how far down the road this gets us. By the way, you may want to watch for whether or not this Gang of 22 bill is the first or the fourth voted on. The sequencing of votes matters because you want your bill to go last, lest all the other three before it should fail.
$11.2 comments so far on Reddit. At Talbertswin, at Real Donald Trump. WH, at NR, you just can't bring yourself to call a white man a terrorist, can you? At Real Donald Trump. Who put a gun in his hand? Irresponsible politicians in the hip pocket of the actor like you. At Clara resists. No matter what, we always have the power to choose hope over despair, engagement over apathy, kindness over indifference, love over hate. Cory Booker. Choose love. Love Ice Louder Valentine's Day.
Well, my friends are all gone, but there's manicured lawns and the people still think I'm a star. I walked around downtown, yeah. I met some fans on Lafayette. They said, tell us how to make it, cause we're getting real impatient. So I looked them in the eye and said, you don't wanna be high like me, never really know a ride like me. You don't ever wanna step off that roller coaster and be all alone. And you don't wanna ride the bus like this, never know who to trust like this. You don't wanna be stuck up on that stage singing, stuck up on that stage singing.
I know that 3 people, I think about 3 in my classroom got hurt. I just saw blood everywhere.
Some girl had big bumps over here. I don't know where she got shot. A lot of people were bleeding out like their legs. There's just like blood everywhere.
At least 17 people are dead after a shooter attacked a high school in Parkland, Florida. These are new images of the 19-year-old suspect, Nicholas Cruz, in custody this morning. Authorities have charged him with 17 counts of premeditated murder. And now the investigation begins into why he allegedly took a semi-automatic weapon onto his former high school. For the latest, we reached out to NBC's Chris Pallone in Parkland.
One thing is for sure, Parkland, Florida is a changed community this morning. You always hear when something like this happens in the United States, and it's happened in many, many cities over the last couple of decades. We never thought it could happen here, and then it does happen. And people are absolutely shattered. There are 17 families here that are saying goodbye to loved ones unexpectedly. There are 15 more that have loved ones in the hospital trying to recover from injuries they sustained. Some of those people are fighting for their lives. We're also learning more about the accused gunman, a 19-year-old named Nicholas Cruz. He's a former student student at the school who was expelled last year for disciplinary reasons. A lot of students that had been interviewed said that he was kind of a different type of person. They tried not to associate with him. Some students said that when they heard the name, they were not surprised when they heard it. However, last night, NBC
Afghanistan
News
more than
talked to
10,000
an
civilian
attorney
casualties in
representing the family.
2017,
They say
says on
that
News
the
DW
Cruz had been staying with them since
15.2018.
November when his mother died, and they say they didn't see this coming at all, that he had had no behavioral problems in the time that he had been living with them. Of course, police are inside the school piecing together what happened here yesterday shortly before 3 o'clock. And they're also questioning that suspect. They're trying to answer a question that might not have a satisfactory answer for people around here. Why? Why did that gunman walk into the school and carry this out? The community will hold a couple of vigils to remember the victims here today, one at noon at a local church.
Champions League Ronaldo fires Real Madrid to 3-1 comeback win over PSG France 24.
About 24 hours after this shooting occurred. Michael?
Well, as the community deals with its grief and the horror of what took place yesterday, I do wonder, Chris, about the shooter himself. What is the picture that's now emerging of the shooter?
Yeah, it's conflicting. Obviously, the family says that he stayed with them and he followed all of their rules. But many students say that he was known to them here. He had been expelled last year. They said, I heard one student say that when he came to this school, he had talked about being expelled from a couple of other schools previously. One student who spoke to NBC said that he was paired with him on some sort of group project, and after that didn't want to associate with him much.
New York prosecutor sues Harvey Weinstein's studio ahead of reported sale News DW 12.2018.
Through his social media, because apparently there are some
rare 70-pound meteorite sells for record $237,500 at Christie's.
Pointed to something like this, but it's still certainly very early in the investigation.
Trumpist infrastructure plan threatens to leave little cities behind wired.
NBC News, he spoke to us from Parkland, Florida. Now that said, officials in Broward County in Florida have just released a mugshot of Nicholas Cruz, again charged with 17 counts of premeditated murder.
Snapchat redesigned petition to scrap update hits 1 million votes.
Shooting inside a high school in South Florida.
17 people are dead, more than a dozen others injured. This morning, the suspect, 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz, is in custody. This is new video just in this morning showing Cruz being
China, we are near Arctic state and we want a polar Silk Road.
Cruz now faces 17 counts of murder. Jeff Patterson has more on how it all unfolded.
Cell phone video from inside
Amazon
the
and Bank of America partner for lending program, but growth has stalled.
Gunshots can be clearly heard. Outside, students ran for their lives, while inside, some hid in classrooms and even closets to get away from the shooter.
As soon as the fire alarm got pulled, and kids were evacuating, I heard 5 pops. And I was like, that's not a drill. We never did a drill like that.
SWAT teams helped some students.
Germany considering free public transportation to take on air pollution. News DW 13.2018.
When it's your backyard, when it's your child that's hiding, it's just a little different.
The suspected shooter, 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz, a student who had been expelled from the school. He was arrested walking down the street less than a mile from his high school.
He is in custody, and we've already began to dissect his websites and the things that social media that he was on, and some of the things that come to mind are very,
Deeply
very
talks the
disturbing.
future of Syria's female Syria deeply.
Cruz posted on Instagram about killing animals and doing target practice in his backyard.
Honestly, a lot of people were saying that it was going to be him and stuff like that. A lot of kids threw jokes around like that, saying that he was going to just the one to scoot up to school, but it turns out, you know, everyone predicted it.
That was Jeff Patterson reporting. The Broward County Sheriff is expected to give an
Will robots need search warrants? Alex Jones info hours there as a run for your mind.
There have already been 18 school shootings in the U.S. so far this year.
President Trump
Jeff Weiner Lincoln found a way to grow talent solutions.
By the shooting yesterday, he said in part, no child, teacher, or anyone else
South Korea's Pyeongchang Winter Olympics costs benefits of hosting.
The market has liked what it has heard from Airbus this morning. The stock is trading sharply to the upside. The targets you've laid out, certainly a big contributing factor to that. But Tom, those targets are contingent on the manufacturers of the engines that go onto your aircraft, particularly the A320 family, delivering.
Study
now,
ultra processed
given the
foods
fact
like
that you only
chicken
just
nuggets
found
linked
out
to
what we
cancer.
found out last week about the latest problem with the Pratt & Whitney geared turbofan, do you really have the visibility to have confidence in those targets?
Well, Guy, first of all, thank you for having me here.
Thermocrats label chain migration racist Alex Jones info hours there as a run for your mind.
The guidance we've given the market on 2018
market
is
correction, just do what Warren Buffett does, says one investor.
That our engine partners deliver the requisite engines. But Guy, that wasn't different in 2017. I mean, we've had more teething problems with the new engines. By the way, very, very efficient, fuel-efficient engines. Pratt side, GE or CFM side. Yes, there's a new glitch that was discovered roughly a week ago. We are
the fight for free speech, Alex Jones info hours there as a run for your
this
mind.
This happens early in the year, and I'm quite confident that we can work through this and recover whatever needs to be recovered in terms of deliveries throughout the year.
Chinese New Year means a spending spree across East Asia.
Transparency, Tom, when you're working through these glitches, these problems with Pratt, do you have confidence that transparency is 100%?
Well, I think Pratt doesn't have full transparency, otherwise these issues wouldn't happen. But I can assure you that we're working very closely together with them. Again, this is not the first problem we're encountering. And by the way, the other engine is not completely free of problems and challenges either. Our teams know each other very well, and we will very quickly assess what it means. The focus will be to support customers who are operating these engines already, these aircraft already in the marketplace. That's the top priority for us at Airbus and also certainly at Pratt.
Gunmaker and identify for bankruptcy, Alex Jones info hours there as a run for your mind.
The seal problem on the GTF. It feels as if we're going to take a step backwards to take a step forwards. But when do you think that we're actually going to have a solution to that problem? And how
With the
easy
less
is it
network
to
client,
change
we
the
become huge
seals
growth
on the
engine.
engine?
Well, Guy, that's not rocket science. I mean, the teams are currently, it's a very new problem. We're investigating. I think they found the root cause. We're thinking about the mitigation here. And the first assessment, it's a tentative assessment, is that Pratt might be able to pick up deliveries of a modified engine to us in April already.
Okay, so April looks like the date that we're going to be able to sort of get back into gear on this. Tom, let's talk about the other airframe that Francine was mentioning in the introduction, and that is the A400M. You talked this morning in the press conference about being sort of beyond the worst. Is that language for no new charges, or is that language for the charges are going to get smaller from here?
Well, I think in a situation like that with a complex program, you never can put your hand into the fire and say, this is it once and for all. But what I'm very certain about is that we reached a breakthrough agreement with these 6 government
Germany has no
customers.
goal. There are fears that years of fiscal discipline could be ending.
Last week, that needs to be detailed yet. But this really brings us, as I said this morning, over the hump, and so our risk exposure going forward on that program will be significantly reduced.
Okay. I want to get into the weeds a little bit on the numbers and go to the net income line in the statement this morning. In that
Florida
net
school
income,
shooting survivor speaks out. There were bullet holes everywhere.
You talk about the fact that there's been an adjustment on the refundable launch aid for the 380 program from the home nations. Can you just give me a little bit more detail on what that means? Is that a reduction in the interest charges on that refundable loan? And then I guess the logical question that follows from that is, did that play a part? Did it have any impact on the deal that's recently been struck with Mr. Clark over at Emirates?
Well, look, I mean, I can't give you much detail on that. It is what we said. We have reached an agreement with governments on that. An agreement that is beneficial to governments and certainly also to Airbus, and helps us to carry on with this very important program that the 380 is. I mean, it's no secret. We have government loans. We're paying interest. We're paying levies on that, which is quite a burden for the company going forward with a program with very low production rates. And we found agreement here, as I said, that is positive for us, that is positive for our customers, and that's part of
Must read coverage on Syria from 2017.
Sorry,
Syria
just to be a little pushy on this, is the cost of those loans going down?
Is the cost of what?
The fate of minorities in post-ISIS Syria and Iraq. Syria deeply.
Is the interest charge going down on those refundable loans?
Florida Republicans offers of prayers invite accusations of hypocrisy. HuffPost.
Are very good business for the governments. They
But
get
blames Russia for malicious, not previous cyber attack. BBC News.
And here this is just an arrangement to benefit the program going forward, so that we can reduce 380s for the next 8 or 10 years now.
Florida shooting. Nicholas Cruz is charged with 17 counts of murder. The New York Times.
After many years of service at Airbus, Mr. Schultz is taking over.
The Syrian doctor building an underground hospital for women in Syria
deeply. With the
deeply.
sales team to really kind of get it back into gear. Do you think that sales team is where you want it to be right now?
Oh, that sales team is terrific. Keep in mind, Guy, look at the order intake in 2017, more than 11.
South Africa prepares for new president after Jacob Zuma resigned. The Washington Post.
After some cancellations. That is industry record for the year.
Trump lawyer as payment to porn star raises new questions. The New York Times.
Eric Schultz is a very experienced salesman. I mean, he really hit the road running since he is responsible, taken over from John a couple of weeks ago. He's particularly well versed on wide bodies, because this is where he worked at Rolls, and he will work heavily on selling wide bodies, selling our great portfolio, and I have no doubt we found the absolute ideal successor for our legendary John Lee.
Okay, legendary, as you say. There are investigations, though, that are ongoing surrounding Airbus. Is there a morale issue on that team? Do you think you need to do some work there?
Well, you know, these investigations are never easy, obviously, particularly for sales teams. But I do not see any morale problem. If I look at the numbers, if I look at how engaged our sales teams are on the various campaigns, not just talking about 17, 18 already. And if anything,
Bill
I
Gates
think Eric
thinks the
Schultz
government
will be
should force tech
absolutely
companies to
the
unlock
right man
phones.
to bolster the morale of our sales team and lead us to new successes.
Tom, it's been well documented over the last few days that Ray Dalio over at Bridge
I need to find what I'm looking for. Found this nugget. Zero gravity party plane takes off in Frankfurt, Germany. Bar news bar DW bar 072.2018. The internet feels like a Wild West, or maybe that's just you crazy people. A Frankfurt music festival turned an astronaut training plane into a zero-gravity nightclub. Some 30 partygoers got to dance on the ceiling during the 4-hour roller coaster ride in the sky. It was one small step for man, one giant party for mankind. A music festival took its guests to new heights on Wednesday as they experienced weightlessness on a zero-gravity plane. Event organizers Big City Beats chartered a Zergerbus, a research plane that is used to train astronauts from the European Space Agency ESA, as part of the annual World Club O Music Festival in Frankfurt. Red Berlin celebrates the power of techno as the Treasure turns 25. The 4-hour trip from the German city flew over the Mediterranean, providing its guests on board a total of 5 minutes of zero gravity. The plane generated the in-flight weightlessness by doing a total of 16 parabolic fly where it does a controlled drop out of the sky.
Put your love on me.